something that moves.
What's going on, guys? My name is Ron and welcome back to another video. As a matter of fact, my 100th video. So I just want to take this time to say thank you to everyone from the deepest part of my heart. I really do genuinely appreciate it. All the love and support I get from you guys. It really makes all of this really worth it. So yeah, so thank you all for that. So that being said, let's get into the video. Alright, so for my tools, I am using a Helios red label 7-round liner with the long taper. That's going to be the biggest liner we're using today. And then I will be using a 10-7 liner from OG Produce. It was like this new company that I found on Instagram. I got a free sample box. So I got a free box. I don't know. I paid $5 for shipping, and they just sent me the box to try out. So I got some 10-7s for my smaller liner, and then I'm going to be using a 10-03 for my smallest lines. Now my plans were not to use a 10-03 to line with at all. I was just going to whip shade with it. But the idea for me here was I wanted to make this tattoo match the other tattoo as best as I possibly could. And I used a 1203 from Dynamic to whip shade that last time. So unfortunately, the last of my 1203s I have from Dynamic were kind of defective. They were catching on something on the inside, and it was they were just not working. So I pulled out a 1205 to whip shade with, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So right now I'm just taking my time, stretching as good as I can here with my 2 fingers, resting it on my ring finger, and just taking my time to line. I'm running at 7 volts. And this tattoo here, I finish the bottom, lining the bottom, and then I get the details, and then I go through and finish lining the top, and then get the details, and I start whip shading it all. So that is that. I'm using world famous blackout for all of this, and I have a really light gray wash cap set out for some other smaller details. And it has, I think I have a drop of white in it just to make it a little bit more opaque and gray. And then I have a little bit of white for the finishing details. I think a spot for the eye and some of the, what do you call them? The pistils, I believe they're called, on the flower there. So, alright, so let's get into this. I'll throw some music on, put some time lapses going, and then I'll pop in when I feel like I need to. Alright. Alright guys, back to normal speed here. So if you watch me, looks like I'm having trouble getting comfortable here. And that is because I did not wrap my machine as much as I usually do. And you didn't think that would be it wouldn't be as important as it sounds, but it definitely is, because I was having trouble getting comfortable in my hand. Therefore, like giving me it was kind of dropping my confidence level into fully committing into sinking that liner in to do what it has to do. But I ended up just toughing it out and just getting it done. And the you'll see here, it's on the side of the arm here, and I have this girl laying down on my massage table, and I have her arm out, so she couldn't really give me that full spin. So we're kind of going at this from the side angle here, and it's important not to. You want to get that liner in as straight as up and down as possible, really. You know, maybe a little angle on it's not too bad, but you don't want to go too sideways in there, because that's going to leave your. It's not going to do the lines like you know, like it's going to do straight up and down. So it's best to you know, whenever you get comfortable holding your machine the way that you're most comfortable with, is, you know, work on getting another position that you can get comfortable with. That way you can go at it at different angles. So you'll see later on in this tattoo, I will hold my machine like I will hold the back directly towards me, and I will like point at it like it's a. You know, you'll see it. I'll point it out when I get to it, but. And also, you'll see I'm dabbing here. I'm not using any soap right now. I'm using Glide, and I'm dabbing. And I will use that Glide to my advantage. I'll throw some down on my fingers, on the bottom of my fingers right there, and I'll use that to gliding on the skin, and to help me line it out as smooth as possible. Dab, dab. And yep. Alright, y'all. Back to it. Alright, there it was. There's my hat. So I went through this footage once already, every minute, and I took the time to cut out. You've seen that weird cut right there where my hat gets in the way and cuts out the focus. So I took out 90% of the hat parts, and we probably only lost 7 or 8 minutes total. So I really apologize for the hat. I thought I had my phone in a spot where it wouldn't catch it, but yeah, needless to say, there it is. So I really apologize for that. And yeah, so I took the time to cut out most of it. So this is right now. This is a little info. This is my second time going through the footage to voiceover, and I'll have to go through it again to add the music into the between the splices, you know. So here we go, right here. Nice long line. Just you see here towards the end of that is where it kind of drops off to the side of her arm. So I will take another slice at it. I won't give it the full needle. I will just kind of give it another small pass. And I believe I go at it one more time later on with a smaller liner, because after I wipe it, I see that it's not the same weight all the way through it. So now, if you're first starting out, I would say, you know, you want to do a line and then wipe to see what's going on. The reason why I'm not usually wiping is because I use these cartridges, and I'm used to this machine, so I know what it sounds like and know what it feels like when it's you know, doing what it's supposed to do, for lack of a better word, when it's lining correctly. Yeah, that's why I'm not normally, and you don't want to be that guy who, and I've done this before a handful of times. You know, I line this all out. I don't wipe it because of, you know, I don't want to lose my stencil. And then when I go to finally wipe it, I see that half my lines aren't even fully saturated, so I gotta go over them again. So just once you get comfortable with your machine, how it runs, and what it, you know, the noises it makes, and the feels it feels, when knowing what it's supposed to be doing, then that's when you want to be able to do start doing the dab, if that makes any sense, guys. Alright, so I'm going to be switching cartridges here soon. My 10.7 to get some of the smaller lines. And then you'll see me bust out this 10.03. Here we go. You know what? A lot of focus on that one, so I apologize. Spot I missed, but I'm not going to waste any more time going through that, because I sat through 2 hours of footage last night cutting out all the hat bits, and it was painful. So alright, y'all, back to it. Alright, so this is the 10.7 from OG Produce, a Chinese company, pretty sure. And they are actually pretty good. They don't really pool up or spit or anything like that. They hold a decent amount of ink, and they've been pretty stable. They last quite a while as far as staying sharp. At least for me and my the tattoos that I do. I don't do a whole lot of huge pieces, but they're running quite consistent for me here. So another hat bit I missed. Super sorry about that. Yeah, they've been really quite nice to use. So yeah, definitely check them out. I'll put a little pop in right here. That way you guys can get the name and the company, and maybe if you want to check them out, you can. I don't think they're too expensive. I think 20 something a box, the usual. So alright, I'll put a little pop in here for you guys. We'll go back to the time lapse. Okay guys, you'll see right here, like I was talking about earlier, I do kind of go over that spot again and give it like a little wipe with some Glide to make sure it's get all the ink off there, and I hit it one little time with this 10.7. There we go. Just to make sure the lines, equal weight all the way through. And since I'm here, a little tip just for you guys that are just starting out and making your own stencils. So when you make your stencil, and you're adding to the drawing or whatever it is, making it your own, you want to make sure when you're stenciling it that you're stenciling it the same size you're going to be tattooing it. And this is something I've learned recently. I would blow the image up, and I would add in all these little small details, and then I would bring these people in, set them down, and size it, and it would be, much smaller than what I stenciled it at. And then I would have all these itty bitty tiny details that are just illegible, since you shrink it down. You know what I mean? Now I did that this time, but I did zoom in a lot to add these little tiny wood grains, little wood grain effects. And I did use a really light wash to put in these wood grains on his body. But typically, you're going to want to avoid stuff like that, just because, 10 years time, who really knows what that's going to look like. So hopefully wood grains, I'm hoping. But just, little heads up, little transparency. that, you know, I'm not perfect and I do make these mistakes. So, but what the important part is, I'm going to learn from this piece right here, and I'm going to take it on to the next tattoo and have an even better tattoo next time. So. Okay, switch back to my 10-3 from Master Pro, and I'm putting in these little tiny wood grains. Now, typically I would avoid lining with a 10-3 like the plague, but I went into this tattoo with some confidence here, and I felt like I was going to line with it. So you'll see that they are somewhat decent. And I'm using a light wash with a drop of white in it just to make it like a light gray. So hopefully when it heals, it's going to be a lighter gray. And we will see. Alright, y'all. First, wipe here with some soap. Kind of see what I'm looking at here. And now here is where I go into shading that back leg and maybe touching up some small details. And just kind of making my next decision on where I want to go. So, another small cut there. So I'm going to take this 10-3. I believe I took my black. Let's see what I'm going to do here. I don't remember. I think I'm going to put a little knot in there. No, I'm going to go shading, alright? So I'm just kind of whipping this in here, shading with the liner, which is pretty easy to do. Let me know if you guys want to see that. I'm just going real lightly. I'm not going deep like I would be lining. I'm just going brushing, and then I'm going cross hatching in the darker areas. Now I have a super light hand, so this does take me a few passes, but my hand being this light means like very little trauma to the skin. So I'm able to apply thin layer by thin layer, and just add in what I need to add in. So you'll see it starts to darken up back there. So yes, you'll see I'm doing what I got to do here. Oh, another thing about trying to whip this in is I should go back just a little bit from where I normally start, because I kept noticing that it wouldn't darken up. It wasn't darkening up in the very edge up against the line. It was kind of just like a line's width away from where I wanted it to be. So just stuff for next time. Yeah, I'm going to add some darkness to this back arm that's in the background here. Yeah, and you'll be surprised, adding a little shadow here, a little shadow there, how it makes it kind of just pop out a little bit more, makes it a little bit more dynamic. Yeah, you'll see. So, I've been talking to this client here, and she wanted to make the flower look like it was pulling out of, he was pulling that flower out of that lady's head over there. So I did, on the stencil, I did kind of draw the flower out at an angle there to where it was kind of coming out of the vase, almost like he's pulling her head off, kind of. But the plan is, we'll probably put like a little mushroom that he's going to be standing on, or some rocks, or some clouds. So here, that way it looks like he's standing on something. So yeah, I'm going in with this 10-03, and I'm kind of putting in some shade in like this little hole that's in his little body. And I'm just going over it real slow, not going deep at all. I'm just like grazing the skin. Just making sure that I can play with how dark I want to make it, so. Okay, so now we're back to our 10-7. I put some shade in at the flower stem, shade on his arm. Pretty much finished everything on the bottom half, most of the important stuff. Anything I'm not going to need the stencil for later. And here I had to give her arm a little twist to my advantage, which I'm sure it's not the most comfortable for her, but right here on his face, I think I'm going to pull a line on his face here. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. Okay, so now I remember. He has, in the bottom of his chin, I put like a little bit of the 10-7 there, out of focus, just right there. And I believe I'm going to finish it off the rest of the front of his face with the 12-7. Just to make it look like his chin tapers off at the end there. Just to make it a little bit more delicate, which we will see here in 1 second. Yes, back to the Helios 1207 round liner. Now these are excellent cartridges. Now they are a high-end cartridge, so you're going to pay upwards of $30+ a box for these. You can get them on Amazon. You're going to be paying the little extra shipping there. Or you can get away with not paying any of the shipping that way. So now this gal is friends with my wife, so she'll come in and usually chit chat with my wife for a little bit, and right when she's walking through the door, I'll stick her with the stencil, figure out where we're going to put it, stick her with the stencil, and then I'll kind of finish getting ready, so that way it gives her plenty of time to get this stencil to dry. And that's a very, very key, very important part. So another thing that I changed was the eye on this piece. She wanted to make him look like he was not so aggressive, because the first eye I put on him, he was looking pretty tough. So I kind of switched his eye up a little bit to make him look a little bit less aggressive. And she really liked how it turned out. So, and at the end I put a little bit of white in his eyeball, so it really makes him look you know, like a little passive fella, like a little sorry sack. Alright, so I'm going to hit the edges of this guy's little umbrella hat, mushroom hat, with the 12-7, and then I'm going to hit these inner lines with the 10-7 and make it look like it just tapers off into a smaller spot, and you'll see that when it comes to it. Now under this guy's little mushroom hat, he has got a bunch of little lines, little details, and I'll hit most of those with the 10-7, I believe, which the difference between a 12-7 and a 10-7 can be pretty dramatic depending on which cartridge you're using. These 12-7s from Helios are pretty chunky, like I'd say more like a traditional tattooer's 12-7. I've gotten some 12-7s from like Big Wasp that are just absolutely tiny. So it's good to know. It's kind of a bummer that there's no like standard size. I mean, you could say 12/7, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure, you know, everyone's diameters are going to be a little bit different, so unfortunately. But yeah, I know that 10/7 from OG is pretty small, so probably about a like be like a standard 5, maybe a little bit smaller than you know, any other standard 5 that you would see. Now this part is going to get tricky here on the back. I'm stretching the skin up as much as I can towards the top of her arm so I can get the best angle at it. More hat. I'm sorry guys, I couldn't get all of them, but here we are, you know. I would love to not wear a hat when I tattoo, but my hair is getting so long and I'm just too lazy to go in and get it cut, so I just wear my hat. I don't want to be, you know, fighting my hair out of my eyes during this whole session. Yeah, you'll see I just use the tip, or I just take the edges with this 12/7. Now on the side of the arm, it probably would have been, you know, a little advantageous of me to use a standard taper 7, because when you're using that long taper, you're taking the risk of not using the entire taper and kind of not getting the full weight of the 7 that you're trying to get, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I'm stretching this up to my advantage. Now right here it can get pretty squishy, and since I have her arm resting on top of a cushion pillow headrest thing, it's even squishier, so I'm just making sure I'm using my finger to push it in as best as I can. See, yeah, I'm kind of holding my pen straight up and down here. And I'm kind of looking at it through the bottom. Alright. Where I have my mount's mounted to my my light, and there is a spot of lino on the ground that it's not sitting on level ground, so it has like a little pocket. So when I roll my stool over it, it like moves the whole floor, and that's what you're seeing the shake from. So alright y'all, so I brought it back down here to normal speed so I can show you how I'm lining with this little 10/7 here. And I'm moving a little bit faster than I normally would, keeping it at the same volts, maybe 6/8. Moving a little bit faster, and that seemed to help me get these lines just a little bit cleaner with this small liner, because it's pretty easy to get the shake get a shaky line with these things if you're not dead careful. And my lines aren't perfect, but they are definitely passable. And I just kept my hand moving just a little bit faster. When I was going in, I committed. I didn't stutter. And I used that glide, and I just kind of slid and just did the float. And it worked out quite well, especially for me being on this weird angle on the side of the arm. It just worked out quite well. It's just, things. I give that one a little second brush there. It wasn't as saturated as I wanted it to be, which can be risky too. You don't want to make it look like a double line, so. All in due time, guys. All these things come with due time and just practice and just dedication and stuff. So if you want anything bad enough, you can achieve it. Believe that. And don't ever let anyone tell you that you cannot do something. So I cut out a nice little chunk of footage here just because of my damn hat and the focus. And now I do have this zoomed in a little bit. And there it is again. So yeah, I cut out more than I wanted to, but I just had to, I'm using this 1003 here to grab these little tiny small wood grains. I kind of made this wood grain to make it look like it had a little bit of an ear going on, like an ear, And I don't think I've got to it quite yet. But yeah, I'm pretty glad I decided to use this 1003 to get those little lines, because with that 10.7 it just would not have worked. So it was kind of a last chance type of thing, and it worked out pretty well. Lots of awkward cuts, guys. Once again, I'm just cutting out the bits of my freaking hat being in the way. So once again, I really, really apologize for that. But it just had to be done. So it was just too, it was bad. So next time, I will hopefully have it all figured out. I need to figure out a better mounting situation somehow. But either way, it's going to get done. So I appreciate the patience, and yeah. You'll see here, I did throw in some of that light wash in to darken his eyeball a little bit. I don't really know what I'm doing right now, honestly. I could probably cut this out, but I've already recorded my voice. So, needless to say, just a little bit of explaining. So, I'm probably taking a little vape break and or grabbing another cartridge off the shelf. Maybe two. And we're back at it. So I'm going over here to the very edge here, the very most sideways, softest part. I'm going to ask her to twist her arm a little bit. I know it's probably not very comfortable, but it needs to be done. Now, another reason why I'm going to switch I'm switching my black is because, my lining black is because I noticed that I love how the world famous blackout lines. It's very thin. It's versatile, but it dries out in the cartridge so quickly that it is, I'm tired of it. It's just causing me to, just use more cartridges, You know, even though I have more than I probably should. I am, just see right there, I do a little practice pass, a little ghost pass I like to call it, and the goddamn hat's in the way. Lord, give me strength. So, yeah, so I'm going to be switching my black. I've been using, besides this, I would have used a different black, but I already used World Famous Black out on the other tattoo. So I'm going to be using, testing and using the Element Tattoos Nighthawk Black. Super thin, very versatile, and it does heal quite nicely. So, and it runs at a great price. You can get it, you know, 8 ounce, 4 ounce, 2 ounce. I have a 2 ounce bottle that these sent me for free a few months ago that has just been sitting on their shelf. So I actually just cracked the seal on it a couple weeks back. So, but yeah, it seems, and I see a lot of other guys on Instagram that use it too that are pretty happy with it. So, and it supports the guys that support me, aka Element Tattoo Supply. Check them out, and if you want to help support the channel, I will have a link pinned in the comments. That is my affiliate link that Element Tattoo has blessed me with, that if you make a purchase through that link, I will get a small but generous 10% cut that goes toward directly to me that I can use to buy more stuff. So thank you guys. After the wipe here, getting all that excess ink off the skin, cleaning it off, and making a nice judgment call. So we're seeing a lot of purple here, primarily on the smaller line areas, because I had to make some post stencil application changes as far as using a smaller liner, and that's where we're seeing a lot of that purple from. It's because I'm using a smaller liner than I originally had planned for during the stencil. Okay, so here comes the fun part. We're going to start whip shading with our Mo Gen 2 1205 round liner, just with my traditional black here. I'm going to start from the bottom. Now I have a reference image on her phone. Just bringing it down here with some moderate pressure to give it some of that peppery look. Now I'm still dabbing here out of just habit, but I believe I will start wiping here in a second. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave it on real time here, and I'll throw some music on for you guys, just so you guys can you know, get a little taste or a little flavor of, you know, how the whip shading goes. It takes a little time, but it has a pretty nice effect.
I begin to.
It's so special, boy, how it feels when I'm with you. You got me doing things I never thought I'd do. Just so you know, ain't never let you go. You're mine, oh, just so you know, you're mine for sure. Yeah. You're mine for sure. Yeah. Ooh, you're mine for sure.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that little music montage. I am just kind of whip shading away here. I am putting in some of that really light wash, that really light opaque wash into some of these darker holes, just to kind of make it look like it's got some depth inside those holes, leaving it lighter towards the center of the hole, just to make it look like it's, you know, more of a 3D look, for lack of a better word. So I'm just going to speed this up just a little bit, and get through some of this just a little bit faster. I wish I could have got some actual sound for you guys here, but she was watching a movie in the background, and all you can really hear is just the movie. But maybe next time I could plug in the mic and leave the mic right there, so you guys can get some actual sound. Let me know if you guys want to hear or see that. Really, I'm 100% open to suggestions, so don't be afraid to comment. You know, I always read the comments, always reply. So yeah, if you're tired of lingering, I mean, linger if you want to. I don't care. But yeah, if you'd like to, you know, speak up and be a part of what you want to see, yeah, speak up. I welcome any ideas with open arms, and yeah. Alright, meow. Now we're just kind of finishing up here. I'm starting on the cap of the mushroom here. Now I marked on my stencil where the darkest kind of area was going to be, where I was going to use some cross hatching. And soon I'm going to start on the cap itself. Now I decided to go all the way across with it with some whip shading, just to kind of give them a little bit of texture and make them not look so, you know, just flat. And you'll see here in a minute what I will do. I will, you know, I will speed up. I'll have my machine slowed down, and I have my hand speed going quite fast. Not right here on the edge here. I'm just kind of darkening up the edges here. And when I start going across the middle of the cap, I will leave my machine running where it's at, and I will kind of pick up my hand speed, and I'll kind of pendulum to give it more like an even spaced out, you know, pepper look, and just give them a little bit of texture, just so that way I'm not leaving just skin tone there. Just a little something you can do that I did to add to it. Now looking back at this, I figured I probably could have done the same thing across his face, just to give a little texture to his face. Here I go. I'm going in with some pendulums here, doing like the Daniel Silva move. You'll see there, just like that. And I'm going to, just like I'm shading with the mag, I'm going just even hand speed all the way across. And then I will kind of, when I move over, I make a, you know, mental note of where I was whipping out, where I was penduluming out, and I will try to meet in between that gap, just to make it seem like it's nice and even all the way across. I'll put on the magnifier here, that way you guys can get a better look. Alright, magnifier engaged. So here I'm kind of whipping out just to kind of match that tone. I kind of have a little gap right there where I don't want there to be. Just darkening up the edge. She was nice enough to twist her arm just a little bit for me. I was probably pushing on it too hard. Just trying to brush right there in the middle. Try to meet that even texture. There we go. Starting to look a little bit better. Of course, doing a little cross hatching there where I want it to be darker. Okay, so here is where I kind of goofed a little bit. So I'm following the curve of that top round cap, which is a mistake. I should have just kept following, going straight along there, like I'm doing there, and following along this bottom, the straight line there. Drop the phone. So I made a mistake there. You know, of course, you're not going to see it unless you, you know, look for it or know what you're looking for. But I should have kept it going straight across along, and it would have made it look more natural. But this is about hour or two into it. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, so I was just had my mind kind of just turned off, and I was just whip shading. Rookie mistake, but you know, that's why we're here. That's why we learn. So. But yeah, I should have just kept it going with the flow straight across all the way. But you can see here, I'm just giving it a light dust just to give them some texture on top of the mushroom there and make them look just a little bit more complete. And if I wanted to, you know, intensify that pepper look, I could either slow down my hand speed or increase my voltage, and that would have gave, you know, more pepper throughout that space right there. But I'm right here, I'm trying to get an even pepper all the way across that middle section, just to make it look more natural, give them a little bit more texture, of course. So and now if you're a I just about have that, you know, the texturing done up there on the top of the mushroom, and you can see it does look a little bit more complete, you know, not so, you know, just bare up there. But now that I pointed it out, you can really see where I followed the curvature of this top cap here. Let me point it out to you. Yeah, so this little area right here where I kind of doodled over, I put the magnifier on it. You can kind of see where I kind of went up and I followed the wrong curve, which, you know, rookie mistake, but, you know, you live, you learn. It's not super noticeable, but I see it. I can't unsee it now, so. Just a little tidbit for you guys, so, you know, just so when you're tattooing, you can just remember to keep that in mind for whenever you are whip shading on your next tattoo. So right here, I'm just kind of going through and putting in some little details here that kind of caught my attention throughout the tattoo that I wanted to, get into the very last details. Little pockets in there that I feel like maybe needed a little bit more toned, just to make it seem like it's a little bit deeper in some spots. Just touching up some really light spots with the 803. Trying to make it trying to make it the best I possibly can. So I kind of throw some little whips in the top there just because make it not so flat, I suppose. Gives it a little bit more curvature, at least in my mind anyway. It does. Now with the 803, it is really hard, or 1003, excuse me. It's hard to see the pepper, but what it is doing, it is throwing shade in there at the very least. So very light, very subtly, but it's there, and it will help me sleep better tonight. Alright, we're wrapping it up here, last 3 minutes. I have switched cartridges. I have put in fresh 1003, which the smaller the liner, the better it is. Punch it in that white, and I'm just going to punch in a little bit of white in his pupil of his eyeball there, and I'm going to put some white in the very tips of those pistols. Now my plan was, I want to get in there as bright as I can, so I'm kind of just punching it in little by little until it stops getting any brighter, and that's when I'm going to say, okay, that's enough. I want to try to get it as round as I can. Now I did leave a little tiny space in there when I was putting in that light wash in that eye socket thing. I did leave a little space in there for some white, and I'm going to go in here very carefully with this 1003 and punch in some more white in the very tips of those little pistols there, that flower. So, and that's pretty much about as the best places I thought I could put it. I knew I did have plans in putting white into the eye, but I thought maybe putting some white in the flower right there would really help, just add to it, that way they're not just sitting there all just bare skin, Awesome. Well, that is it, you guys. I'm just cleaning over around the arm here, getting it prepped for the film, repair film. And yeah, I really appreciate all your guys' inputs. Special thank you to all the guys that voted and gals that voted in the poll. And I appreciate that. You guys, I'm going to give you guys the option to choose what you want to see. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it. I really do appreciate it. It helps get these videos out there to like-minded people like you and I. So yeah, that being said, we'll let you watch me enjoy, or sorry, wipe down the rest of the tattoo. I believe I will grab the phone here and try to get a better vertical on it. I may twist it around here in a second. And there it is, guys. Start to finish a tattoo just for you guys and gals. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch these videos. Support them, like them, share them with your friends. I love you guys, and God bless.